Donor Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, who was in Guwahati today, said that the centre is giving a significant push to telecom infrastructure in the bordering areas of the frontier state. The donor minister's statement comes amidst reports stating that China is going ballistic with telecom and other physical infrastructure projects in its areas along the border with Arunachal Pradesh.
The Prime Minister is committed to 100% saturation. And keeping that in mind, we have now located the 24,000 odd villages in India that still need saturation in terms of availability of telecom communications. That scheme has received a funding already by Cabinet of close to about 26,500 crores. The connectivity there will be a mixture of various technologies. And you all know better than I do that one of the biggest problems is also the terrain, because accessibility is a problem. So two things we are doing in terms of resolving this. One, under the new Telecom Act, we have circulated now the new rules for the right-of-way to bring about the solution for giving access for setting up this infrastructure. The second, we will be using a mix of technologies. So some places we will be using RANs, which is radio access networks, and BTSs. Other places which are difficult to get to, we might use VSAT technologies. Other places which are even more difficult to get to, we may even think of using some satellite technology. But the commitment is to ensure that all of those 24,000 villages across India, not only the Northeast, but across India, have 100% saturation with regard to telecom. I am monitoring that scheme myself on a weekly basis. We have at this point connected almost, if I am not wrong, close to about 13 to 14,000 villages already out of those 25,000 odd. And hopefully in the next 12 months or so, or even earlier, hopefully, we will have completed the 4G, the telecom saturation project with that outlay covering those villages with the mix of technology.
My colleague Arindam Das joins us live to give us more updates. So Arindam, this is indeed a big focus of the Modi 3.0 government to strengthen the telecom infrastructure in the frontier state to counter the infra push that China is initiating on its own along the border areas. What more did you gather from what Jyotiraditya Scindia had said, Arindam?
Ronak, today Donor and Union Telecommunication Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia was in Guwahati and he addressed a press conference, and we from Northeast Live asked him a direct question that China has been very aggressive in the infrastructure push along the LAC with Arunachal Pradesh. They have come up with a lot of dual infrastructure which serves both military and civil purposes, and also has boosted up the telecommunication network along the border, because there could be hardly any place left in the Tibet region on the other side of the border of LAC, which borders Arunachal Pradesh, which is unconnected by any telecommunication network. So what would be India's reply, or what is India's infrastructure push to counter that China's big push of infrastructure push, and also build up the telecommunication network along the LAC? So the Union Telecommunication Minister has categorically said that Modi government 3.0 has taken up a very vigorous task of vibrating 24,000 villages along the LAC, not only the villages which are in the northeast, but all across India, which spans along the LAC. So right now there is a plan to saturate in the sense that there should be 100% telecommunication network or mobile network with all those 24,000 remote villages along the LAC, which are there in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, or other parts of India which borders China. So the Ministry of Telecommunication is coming up with a mega plan to boost up the telecommunication network in all along the LSE. So the Union Telecommunication Minister has also explained in detail about the plans, how India plans to boost up the telecommunication network. So he has accepted the fact that the terrain is the most difficult challenge that the telecommunication sector faces, or any other infrastructure development department faces when it comes to the region of Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, or other places of India which borders China. So due to the difficult terrain, it is very difficult to set up the telecommunication network, the towers and other things. So there are basically three plans right now. One is he has said that RAS, or radio access network, or the BTS based tower transmission system. That is what we see in places like Guwahati or any other places where we see towers are installed over the building tops or anywhere else. So there are airwaves which are transmitted from tower to tower. But in difficult terrain, what happens? It is very difficult for those signals to travel from one tower to another tower. So what is the plan B for that challenge? So the plan B is that setting up of a VSAT network. Suppose connecting one tower to another tower through satellite. So that is the plan B. And the third plan is also there, that there be a totally satellite based or satellite independent satellite dependent network which will be set up to connect all the 24,000 villages which are there along the LSE with China. So definitely this is a big infrastructure push that the Indian government is coming up to counter China's plan, because China, as I have mentioned, that is it has been very aggressive, whether it be infrastructure push along the border, because it has come up with various installations which are dual in nature, military and civil, and also has boosted up the telecommunication network. So on the Indian side also right now efforts are on. In fact, the target has been set that within next year all the 24,000 villages will be connected by telecommunication network. Ronak.
Right. And Arindam, of course, there's another very important issue as far as the Northeast region is concerned, and that is, of course, the issue of floods and nature's fury. And the donor minister had something to say regarding that as well. Arindam, I want you to stand by. I'll come back to you in just a moment. But first, let me just go and say this to our viewers. So, donor minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said that the centre has allocated a sum of rupees 11,000 crore for flood relief in Assam and Sikkim. Well, speaking to the media in Guwahati today, Scindia said that a sum of rupees 11,000 crore has been allocated for the two flood-affected northeastern states under the aegis of the union budget, which was recently tabled by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Listening.
सिक्किम और आसाम के लिए फ्लड मैनेजमेंट के लिए करीब 11,000 करोड़ राशि का आवंटन रखा गया है, जिस दर्द से हम अभी भी हम लोग गुजरे हैं। हर साल ये आपदा आती है और इस आपदा का एक बार के लिए हल ढूंढना आज समय की मांग हो चुकी है।
So going back to my colleague Arindam Das joining us live from Guwahati once again. So Arindam, as I was saying, this relief package, the flood relief package, has been allocated with the sole aim that this perennial problem that Northeast faces, especially if we talk about Assam and Sikkim, it needs to be solved once and for all, and that is what the centre under Narendra Modi is aiming to do. Arindam.
That's right, Ronak. For the first time, the central government has accepted that the flood in Assam is caused by floods not because of water in Assam, but from water which comes from outside Assam. It has not particularly mentioned whether it's China, Bhutan or neighboring states, but yes, Assam every year suffers due to floods from water that comes from other parts or its neighboring places. Likewise, Sikkim also every year has been suffering from severe landslides and flooding, and this is basically to the phenomenon called GLOF or glacial lake outburst flooding, and this has been continuing for the last couple of years, when we have seen massive destruction causing loss of life and property to a lot of people, and in fact the state suffers a lot. So for dealing with GLOF in Sikkim, the central government has released a fund for Sikkim, dedicatedly for Sikkim, and also for Assam, since Assam also every year battles with floods and erosion, since it's a perennial issue. Every year, almost all the districts, 33 districts, reels under flood waters if there is heavy flooding. So every year Assam suffers a lot. That's why addressing both the states, the central government has come up in this budget with a special package of rupees 11,000 crores for both the states. So we don't know what will be the pie, like how much the percentage of that 11,000 crore will go to Sikkim and how much part will come to Assam from that 11,000 crore. But yes, it's a big amount, 11,000 crore released by the central government in this budget to tackle or deal with the flood and gulf in Sikkim and Assam. Ronak.
Absolutely. So indeed a decisive step by the centre under Prime Minister Narendra Modi to tackle the flood problem once and for all. Arindam Das, thank you very much for all those details.
Don't like the inverted image? Get the real picture.
মজিয়া বনোৱা হয় লৰালি কালৰ বাবে সেয়ে লৈ আহক নিমেৰে প্ৰস্তুত আইটি চিনিমাইল যাৰ 100% প্ৰাকৃতিক প্ৰক্ৰিয়াই মজিয়া কৰি তোলে নিৰাপদ কোনো কেমিকেল ৰেজিডিউ অবিহনে
ICFI University, Tripura.
Eight states at your fingertips, the real voice of the region. Watch Northeast Live, your station, your voice.
News to keep you ahead. Evening.
On to another story now. As one roadblock by villagers is about to end, another roadblock by villagers has begun in the northeast. Residents of 6 villages have blocked the National Highway number 8, popularly known as Assam Agartala Road, demanding immediate repair of the road that is in a deplorable state. The protest took place in Kherengjuri area of Dharmanagar subdivision in North Tripura district today. According to the agitators, more than 10 kilometer stretch of the national highway from Churaibari Sanichara Hospital area to Kherengjuri is in a deplorable condition since more than last 1.5 years. Both small and large vehicle drivers as well as local residents suffer due to the massive potholes on the highway. For the past 1.5 to 2 years, no repairs have been carried out on this crucial highway. Daily traffic of hundreds of lorries has further deteriorated the condition of the road, leading to frequent accidents, and local people, including students going to school and even people going to the market, face extreme difficulties in this scenario. Reportedly, recently a pregnant woman lost her life on the way to the Shanichara hospital due to the poor condition of the road. The angry agitators said that despite multiple protests and blockades demanding repairs, the district administration has only managed to fill the potholes with pieces of bricks, which quickly break apart into pieces and disappear under the weight of heavy lorries, once again leaving the road filled with potholes. And finally, the frustration of the villagers hit the roof, leading to the blockade this morning from 11 a.m. Residents from Kerengjuri, Balichara, Chandpur, Lakshinagar, North Fulbari, South Fulbari and Churaibari areas participated in the blockade today. My colleague Pinaki Das joins us from Agartala at this point in time for more updates. Pinaki, indeed, another road issue, the condition of the road being absolutely deplorable has caused these people to come out onto the streets and block this crucial national highway. How do you think this issue, coming, very close on the heels of the, ensuing panchayat elections, how is this going to figure as a poll plank as far as the panchayat elections is concerned?
See, Ronak, that is the reason that before the election, people come to protest against these issues. They raise these issues so that they can get the maximum attention of the local government. But in this case, Ronak, National Highway comes under the central government's NHDCL, National Highway Development Corporation Limited, and the state does not have much to do in it, though the responsibility to provide roads and connectivity depends on the state government, and it affects the local image of the government. But honestly, this is the issue of the central government's department. And after a few hours of this agitation, this is not the first time such an agitation is taking place in this particular stress of the road. Earlier also we have seen there were agitation, and one of the issue that after speaking with the locals, what we came to know is that there are construction of, and on the both sides there are quarries, the stone quarries, and the water that comes from the quarries, and after the cutting of the small hillocks in the side, the water gets locked over there, and the slop, and that creates the main problem, and it's the monsoon season going on, so you can understand that adds to the sufferings of the people, and lot of accidents happen in that area because the highway, it may be a national highway, but for local transportation also, vehicles, small tuk-tuks, even auto rickshaws and bikers use that road, national highway, and that is creating a lot of problem for the local villagers, and after waiting for so long, they are again they are blocking the road to get the maximum attention. It have effect on the vote in the local election, but the issue is mainly with the central government. It's not the state to take measures, though temporary measures the state can take.
And of course, Pinaki, we know that the villagers were saying that the local MLA did visit recently and once again assured them that the road will be repaired. But what they are saying is that these are all false promises, empty promises that are being made, but actually nothing is happening on the ground. So even despite the fact that the panchayat polls are right around the corner, literally, despite that, not much is happening on the ground, Pinaki.
Right, Ronak. The local MLA may promise, but the things are in central governments. The local MLA can at maximum bring it to the notice of the chief minister or the higher authorities, but the step has to be taken by the central government. So here the local MLA do interfere, and today also after a few hours of agitation, they had the agitation has come to an halt on the promise that steps will be taken, but it seems it will be only temporary steps. Finally, until the national highway, the water logging issue is resolved, much of help will not happen, and it will only be putting of those small bricks and other things for a temporary resolving the issue, and that will continue because is as I said, it's monsoon going on.
Pinaki, I would just like to confirm, to clarify something over here that you just said. Has the protest been halted at this point in time? Is that something that has taken place? That's a new development that you're talking about?
No, yeah, Ronak. Ultimately, the local leaders and the SDM had interfered, and now some time back only I came to know that it has been stopped. That agitation has stopped with the promise that immediately some steps will be taken so that the problem is resolved. But finally, it all depends on the National Highway Development Corporation to complete the work over there, and expansion of the national highway activity is going on across Tripura, and this is perhaps a temporary phenomenon which the people are facing, but it is more than 1.5 years the suffering, and that is why they have come to this final step of blocking the road. So many villages had come to block the road, which has been a suffering for movement of vehicle to main national highway, that is the NH8
for all of those updates. So the
Tripura.
latest update coming in at this point in time, viewers, is that the blockade along the National Highway number 10 has been called off, is what the latest update is coming in. There has been some understanding reached by the district administration with the protesters, and now with the blockade being lifted, now the vehicles that were stranded on either side of the blockade have now hopefully been allowed to pass, and hopefully the issues, the demands of the protesters will also be addressed as soon as possible, and we'll wait for an official confirmation regarding the same. But for now, it seems as though the blockade has been halted. On to Manipur now. In a significant development from the ongoing Imphal-Andhra road blockade, protesters have decided to relax the bandh and allow the movement of two-wheelers and light motor vehicles after PWD Minister Govindas Kanthojam assured the residents that machineries for the repair works will be dispatched by the 31st of July. However, protesters are adamant that complete withdrawal of the blockade will only take place when the machineries reach the site and actual repair works begin. My colleague Lucky Boy joins us from Imphal for more updates. So Lucky, this is indeed a development. You know, it has been going on, the protest and the blockade has been going on for more than a week now. Finally, some let up in the blockade, and also an assurance that the work will start, the restoration work will start by the 31st of July. But I think the protesters will wait till the work is actually begun to fully call off the protest, isn't it?
Yes, Ronak. The protesters have met the PWD minister as well as representative. There is officials led by the additional chief engineer of PWD department and executive engineer of Imphal district. And there's an agreement that the work for the restoration of the deplorable condition of the road will be started from 31st of July, and the machineries which are needed will be arrived on 31st. So protesters have been taken the decision that yes, they will be lifting some parts of the blockade and bandh that have been presently going on, like they will be allowing the movement of light vehicles including two-wheelers, and yes, there will be still restriction for the heavy vehicles until the work begins. And yes, the protesters have also mentioned that they will fully withdraw their bandh when the machineries or the work starts. Rana. Right,
Lucky Boy. So that is indeed some respite for commuters, and hopefully the restoration work of the road will also begin by latest the 31st of July. Lucky Boy, thank you very much for all those updates.